As always with these voice memos, I'm going to share what I've been thinking about and experimenting with. So today, I wanted to break down how Crawford and Gamboa defend the jab to the body and what we could take from it. So first, let's start with Gamboa. Now, he likes to keep his lead hand high, shoulders square, with his weight and his head towards his lead foot. And here's something to chew on. He's intentionally keeping that lead hand high to show an opening to the body, and it just so happens to be the tool he uses to defend. And I'll explain. So when the jab to the body does come, he'll drop his lead using his forearm or glove for what I would call a lead down parry. Okay, next, let's talk about Crawford. Now, he also stays square, weight and head towards that lead foot. Now, Crawford can keep that lead hand high to bait that shot to the body, but he could also choose to keep that lead hand low if he wanted. Either is fine. Now, when that jab to the body does come, Crawford will rotate his hips to his left, turning into the shot using his rear forearm, elbow, or glove to either catch or deflect. So we'll call that one either a rear parry or rear down parry. So between Gamboa and Crawford, we have the same setup, but two different defensive responses, each using different tools. Oh, and if you're wondering, hey, do you got any visuals to go with this? I sure do. I broke this very idea down on my blog at boxingnotebook.com. And what I'll do is I'll drop some links in the show notes if you want to take a peek. Okay, so we'll do the same framework as before. It's goal, hypothesis, experiment, then result. All right, let's lay this out. The goal is to add two types of parries to our toolbox: the rear down parry or rear parry, and also the lead down parry, both against the jab to the body. And my hypothesis is that both parries are valid so long as we know the next step in the sequence, whether that be offensive or defensive. And to test this hypothesis, we'll do a partner drill. Then we'll wrap it up with the results. Now, before we go into it, let's talk about some of the mechanics. Okay, so I mentioned them a little bit earlier, but let's go a little bit more in depth. When doing a lead down parry, we'd want to start with our lead hand high, our shoulders square, and with our weight and head towards that lead foot. So as that body jab comes, we'll drop our lead down to deflect it. Now, when we complete that down parry, our shoulders will rotate to our open side, putting us in a more bladed stance. Now, once we complete that lead down parry, we'll add a drop on the very next beat. And to explain a drop, my definition would be a waist bend to our open side. And since we completed the down parry, putting us in that bladed stance, we'll find it pretty comfortable to do a drop over our rear foot. So here's the experiment. It's to create a partner flow drill moving through that exact pattern. So let's make the assumption that we have two orthodox fighters. On the first beat, boxer A throws a jab to the body. And interesting enough, when he throws that jab to the body, he should end up in the drop position, meaning his head is on his open side. Then on the second beat, he'll throw a rear overhand. So jab to the body, then rear overhand. Okay, now let's move over to boxer B. He'll start with his lead hand high, shoulders square, and head towards that lead foot. Now, that first beat, he'll do a lead down parry, which puts him in that bladed stance. Then on the second beat, he'll drop, which means he'll do a waist bend over his rear foot, getting away from that overhand. All right, now let's switch gears and talk about the rear parry. And the one thing you'll notice, I removed the word drop. I think you could achieve similar results using your rear forearm or elbow without dropping your glove down over the top. So with that said, again, let's hit on the mechanics. Now, our lead hand can be high or low, though keeping it high baits that jab to the body. We'll have our shoulders square, weight and head towards that lead foot. And as that body jab comes in, we'll rotate our hips to the left so they're more pointed at our opponent, then use our rear forearm and elbow to either catch or deflect that shot. Again, we can drop our glove over the top, but as you're probably thinking, a good boxer might note that and feint low to get you out of position, then go up top. So once we complete that rear parry, we'll add a drop. And as I mentioned, the drop would be a waist bend to our open side. But now, this time, we're in a more squared stance because of that rear parry. That means our drop will tend to put our head between our lead foot and rear foot. Okay, so let's break down this next experiment. Again, we have two orthodox fighters. On the first beat, boxer A throws a jab to the body, putting him in that drop position. Head would be over his rear foot. Then on the second beat, he'll come over the top with a rear overhand. Easy enough. All right, now let's move on to boxer B. He'll start with his lead hand high or low, either is fine, square shoulders, and head towards that lead foot. He'll rotate his hips to his left, catching or deflecting that jab with his rear elbow or forearm. Then on the second beat, he'll drop to his open side, getting away from that rear overhand. And now for the results. They both worked well. The sequences we did in our partner drills was a little bit longer, and making the sequence longer allows you to stay engaged longer to work through more patterns. Now, one thing I'll mention, I found myself keeping my lead hand high in both options. So the lead down parry, it'd be required to keep it high, but the rear parry, it isn't needed because that's not the defensive tool we would use. But I like the idea of having both options available to me. If my lead hand was low, I would only have my rear parry available. Okay, that's it for today. Check out the links below if you want a visual to go along with this voice memo. All right, keep rocking.